What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Moonlight Game Devs, the podcast where game developers share the story behind their latest games and the lessons learned with their fellow developers. Today I had a chat with Bogdan and Radu of Lowpoly Interactive, who shared the story behind the development of Viking Vengeance, an upcoming ARPG, and how they approached developing such a large and ambitious project with a 4-man team. So I hope that you guys enjoy the episode and learn something from it. Bogdan, Radu, welcome to the show.
I'm Bogdan, the founder of Lowpoly Interactive, the studio that is building Viking Vengeance ARPG. As you know, Mark, we have to wear many hats as indie game devs.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most hats in any industry, if we were to compare it with movies or music or any kind of entertainment. So what I mean to say is I would like to present my team. Most of us are doing many tasks,
Filling many different roles in the company.
exactly, many different roles in the company. Our team is made out of old friends and colleagues from the Warcraft 3 modding era. We are based all over the world. We have Lucian, who is our very passionate and skilled game designer, 3D modeler, and concept artist. He's basically the brain behind the story and the characters, the concepts, the builds, the quests. We also have Daryl, who is our very talented main animator, and Machuji, who is our tester and secondary animator.
So it's a 4-man team?
Yes, four-man team. Four-man team. I am the team manager, game developer, head of marketing, and trying to do as many things I can, like UI, UX, secondary modeler, animator when needed. You know how it is.
Yeah, for sure. There's many roles to fill. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of the origin story there? You kind of hinted at it that you guys got into Warcraft modding. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, that's true. We've met like 10 years ago, all big fans of
Okay.
Warcraft and the world editor of Warcraft. I'm not sure if you played with it back then. You could build quite a lot of custom maps with it.
Mm-hmm.
I personally started by creating custom 3D models for Warcraft as a hobby, of course, which led us to create an online community of 3D modeling beginners. Back then, in 2010, it was called Low Poly Workshop.
Oh.
We were basically preparing for this, I guess, without even knowing.
I would love to know that transition of you guys.
Oh yeah, okay. So let me continue. I personally used to make basic tutorials while I was learning to do the 3D stuff for Warcraft. We started hosting 3D contests, and then we even created our own Warcraft 3 modding community forum. We decided to build this community to collaborate on hobby projects easier.
Mm-hmm.
Back then I was still a student in the Navy, but I quickly realized that I was more addicted to creating custom maps and stuff like that. So I started getting offers to create 3D models for various games, mostly mobile titles.
Mm-hmm.
Since I was specialized in low poly modeling. In time, I got to work as graphic designer and animator as well. My friends were having our team, the other team members were getting other kind of jobs or continuing their studies. And after years and years of each of us doing their own stuff, we got together again. I basically had experience with game development, mostly on mobile platforms. I even founded my own mobile company, mostly working on casual games and gathering experience with hundreds of small titles. Everything basically led back to the computer and PC consoles game development.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? What led you from creating mobile games into the traditional kind of, I guess you could say, traditional mediums for games?
Sure. 2 years ago, basically, I've decided to follow my dream of creating an RPG for PC and consoles.
Mm-hmm.
This was a dream since I was a kid. I even tried to build one back in school, back in the Flash game era, if you remember that.
Yeah, a
But
little bit.
Yeah, but obviously I was overwhelmed back then and thought that I could never do that. But now, 16 years later, I'm trying to prove that kid wrong. We basically were preparing for this our entire lives. As scary as it is, because it's a complex kind of project, and we made a lot of mistakes, a lot of lessons learned. We've met a lot of new people as well. So far, it's an amazing ride, very enjoyable, and it's really awesome to build something from scratch and see people becoming interesting, joining your Discord server, getting your posts viral, and so on.
Hmm.
I mean, for us, that was very encouraging for sure and kept us going.
Was it hard? Like you already had that kind of games entrepreneurial background of founding your own games company. Was it difficult to get your friends on board with this as well? Like, you know, what was your situation at the beginning? Did you guys all go full time, or did you kind of do it as a side project?
For me, it was full time from the beginning. I've
Hmm.
also got our game designer and main character builder and modeler on board full time. Uh, our other two members, the animator and the tester slash animator, they are using it as a side job,
Hmm.
and it was very difficult because the markets are totally different, different users. Development time is much longer. I mean, I used to build a mobile game in maybe 2 months or 1 month and launch it. Oftentimes, even faster than that. Used to be maybe 10 or 20 games a month using various templates back in the day. So spending 2 years on one single game without any revenue,
Yeah.
it's very easy. But when you're passionate, I guess you make it happen somehow. We are lucky to still have revenue coming in from the old games, the old mobile games that are
Hmm.
basically funding this project, as well as my savings.
Right. So is that kind of that revenue you have from the early games is your primary source of funding. You're kind of bootstrapped in that you don't really have any sort of outside investment, or is there something
Yes.
like that going on?
No, no, no. We have had discussions before with some investors and publishers, but we've decided so far to go at it alone and self-fund. This way, trying to be as independent as possible and make sure our decision is final in most of the gameplay aspects and community building ways.
What kind of deal would you need to accept funding?
Wow,
Just
that's a difficult.
hypothetically.
That's a very difficult question. One I've actually asked myself a lot these days, as we were in talks with big publisher, big indie publisher. Um, I will have to get back at you with this actually because I don't have an answer. It's very difficult. I didn't expect it to
Yeah.
be so difficult. Actually, at some point, I was like, if some big publisher comes and offers us a certain amount of money, I would take it to continue funding and continue the game. But after you actually receive offers, you realize it's not that easy to decide as you thought initially. You know.
Yeah, I can imagine that, and especially I think in our last interview, the one before this,
Mhm.
there was also someone who talked about taking being offered even 1 million for a project and still being hesitant because yeah, you always
Wow.
hoping for that big hit that you don't give away any revenue and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you hope to do it all by yourself, right? And in
yeah,
the end, your market strategy to be the one that's the winner, and so on.
I can imagine it being really tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us like a little bit about the game idea, I guess. Like, how
Okay.
did you come up with it? You mentioned there that you had like a passion of creating an RPG, but what made it Viking Vengeance, and what kind of made the game special, and you following through with the idea that you had there.
Okay. So I have to give credit where it's due to our game designer Lucian, who is very passionate about our team as Vikings. He pitched this idea to me and convinced me it was definitely worth doing and that we have great stories to tell here.
Hmm.
So, Viking Vengeance is the roguelite RPG in which you use the Norse gods to help you in battle. Their help could consist either in starting natural cataclysm, sending them your way to crash your enemies, or in powerful buffs that give you the upper hand, or if you have enough devotion from the gods that you've unlocked, you can actually turn into their avatars for a short period of time, gaining access to new skill sets, huge stats, and will make destroying your enemies much easier. This also changes the scene of the fight and the way you fight. So you don't only receive big boosts in your stats and new skills, but you will notice that, for example, if you play Thor, random thunders will fall on the ground and burn stuff, like wood or other characters. So it will be more chaotic, as well as Thor, for example, when he hits an enemy, he will throw that enemy back. So you can use that
Hmm.
to throw enemies off of cliffs or stuff like that, or into spikes. So this is not just an aesthetic change that is happening, but it also changes the gameplay as well as offering you a new set of skills. Basically, you can unlock idol statues that bring you new deities to pray to, and you can use such idols as altars to bring blood offerings for a variety of gains and boosts. You are encouraged to use the environment and game physics in your favor in Viking Vengeance to try to gain the upper hand in combat, like, for example, pushing enemies or using falling rocks or cutting down trees over enemies and destroying platforms, making the enemies sitting on them fall. You can
Hmm.
set the environment on fire, use traps to facilitate you eliminating your targets more easily. We have a lot of gore and violence in the game, as you probably have seen in the video.
Yeah.
In combat, for example, you can execute enemies when they reach a certain threshold of health. This will make them explode depending on how powerful your execution is. And this will also give you more blood that you can collect to offer as a sacrifice on the altars. But using this strategy also comes at a cost. You will lose their normal drops, like if they were to drop some equipment or runes or stuff like that, executing them and making them explode will basically lose those advantages.
Mm.
We also have we like to think an unique death system. Being roguelite in Viking Vengeance, death will come at a price with two different paths to choose from when you die. You can either revive on the spot, keeping your current progress and items, but paying a high price of blood, or you can return to your last saved position, restarting the entire world, losing your temporary items and quest progress.
Well, why would I do the latter? Just out of curiosity, like the complete reset, just because I wanted to restart, or
Mostly because you won't have blood.
right? Okay. Well, thanks for sharing like some of the systems there, and it's really it looks like a really deep deep game. RPGs, especially ARPGs, there are often a lot of items and
Mhm.
interesting leveling up systems, like you mentioned there, and different abilities. So I would just love to know, like, how did you guys kind of approach the project management there in kind of planning the development of such a large game?
Mhm.
Um, did you do it kind of in an agile way, or did you really map out the all the things you wanted in there and kind of work it down that way? Like, how did you guys approach that?
Yeah, we didn't use the agile system. We went old school, just preparing the documents,
Hmm.
preparing every aspect, having many talks, many chats on Discord, as well as video calls, preparing step by step. We started with the core, built on that, started preparing the quests and their flow, the drops, the equipment, the every skill, every character, every enemy has basically its own unique document.
Was there any point where you guys thought, you guys realized, maybe we had to scale down certain things or make cuts, or you had some ideas at the beginning, but during your planning phase, you realized, that didn't really, that kind of increased the scope too much.
Mhm.
And how did you guys approach those decisions?
Okay, that's a very good question, and you actually could see the you could see this coming, I guess. But yeah, we were thinking in the beginning of adding a multiplayer mode even from the beginning, but now we are considering it, and depending on what people say and think about the idea, we might add it as a free update in the future. This was
Hmm.
just one of the example. Other examples were the ways we built the equipment. So instead of creating a huge variety of equipment, equipable items like Diablo, for example, we have only a few less than 200 items in total to be equipped that
Hmm.
you receive at certain levels. At certain levels, you'll receive certain rewards to choose from.
Okay.
You will either receive certain stats or skills or talents for those skills or items, different items, different helmets, different armors, different weapons.
Hmm.
This way, we made it possible to have certain passive runes that you can equip on your character that bring you different passive skills, different abilities to compensate basically that the fact that we don't have thousands of different equipable items. Um, we use runes which you actually equip on your character, but they don't change the look of your character.
Yeah, that's a great some great insight there. Like, kind of also how to, use a system to kind of save on, needing to create a lot of content. Because I feel like even 200 items is really difficult. Like creating that much content and with a 4-man team.
Yeah,
Um,
for two classes in total, two classes of heroes.
is it 200 items per class or?
No, in total,
Oh, okay. Okay.
equipable. Yeah, but we basically used Hades as inspiration for this, since they
Mhm.
were basically offering such passive items as rewards, and they were actually not using any equipment that changed the look of the character.
Yeah, I mean that works if it's much easier to create, for example, like an icon for a
Oh yeah,
passive
exactly,
boost.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You save a lot of time, even if it does add different stats or different skills to you. Yeah, it saves a lot of time and costs.
I think I can imagine, for example, also the target audience for example, an ARPG or kind of a deep roguelike like Hades, they're more concerned about stats grinding and not so much
Yes,
maybe
yes,
about the look. Yeah.
and maybe temporary items that you lose when you die.
Yeah. Like, out of curiosity, I know that you guys went for like the low poly look, which makes
Mhm.
sense. It's very high detail, actually. I must say it's high low poly.
Yeah, yeah, it actually is. You're right. You're right.
Like, how did you guys? How long does it take you guys kind of to produce your assets? Do you guys have a pipeline or something like that? Something to make sure your game looks consistent and has a certain style.
Yes, indeed. Lucian has a pipeline for creating the characters, for example, their items. We use many characters bases for different enemies, for example. This way, we also save animation time and costs, and we are just more productive this way. So you can animate, for instance, an outlaw with the same rig as a priest, and that one base character could have like 100 animations on it. And this way, instead of animating and rigging each character each time you build one, you save a lot of time
Yeah.
because they basically look the same without the armors or the helmets. They are human beings inside. But we also have different races like giants, dwarves, so skeletons. They need different rigs, but we try to keep it to a minimum.
Yeah, that makes sense because yeah, rigging is one of the more time intensive things as
Yeah,
well.
exactly. Especially when you have hundreds of characters of enemies with small differences like changed hairs or changed beards or changed clothes.
Yeah.
When they look aesthetically similar, but they have different skills and different abilities, you can use the same rig to save time.
Is there any kind of tips that you have that maybe you didn't mention yet that kind of help you create content quickly, whether it's kind of the passive abilities that don't have any visual sort of props for your character or using reusing the same rigs? Is there anything else that you guys kind of do, sort of like a hack to save some time and money when creating the content for your game?
We try to use to retexture when we can.
Mhm.
We try to make the systems as modular as possible to be able to quickly create new skills or items. Other than the character way of using the same rig, I can't say we've done something really impressive, but we are trying to keep it as modular as possible
Yeah.
and as reusable as possible from one scene to another.
Mhm.
For example, even I can say that one system we've done that is really modular and easily applied to all maps, depending on the surface. For example, we try to create a immersive sound effect system that is not
Mhm.
yet seen in the videos, but we'll post a trailer soon with it. When where you will hear unique combinations of sounds every time, depending on the surface you hit and the
Mhm.
surface of the weapon you attack with.
Right.
Same goes with the surface you walk on, and creates different sounds every time, depending on how you walk on, what kind of equipment you wear. This was easily applied to all surfaces in game.
Like one thing I wanted to know is also like you guys are a distributed team,
Mhm.
and you mentioned as well that you kind of wear many hats. Is that like a problem for you guys in terms of getting organized? Um, maybe having some people doing many things and maybe losing track as well of who's working on what and also the component of being a fully remote team. How has that kind of experience been, and what have you guys learned from that?
Well, we always have been a fully remote team. I personally always worked remote. So for us, this part wasn't that difficult. In the team, we actually have totally different main roles, so we don't really
Mhm.
overlap.
Yeah.
So we know, for example, Daryl will be animating a certain character. He's actually animating Valkyries as we speak. We know Lucian, for example, now is preparing the art for the story for the loading screens. I'm the only one doing the code work. So
Mhm.
for us, being such a small team, it is easy to not overlap or lose sight of what each of us is doing.
Yeah, I was kind of curious if, you guys actually had some overlap there, but given the, how
Not
much
really.
how much things
Yeah,
there are to do, yeah, it seems like a good way when you guys are able to diversify like that. Then
yeah. I'm curious how it will be if we will grow the team in the future. We might get such problems indeed.
yeah, one thing I want to talk about is kind of you guys' sort of go-to-market strategy. Like you guys mentioned there that you already have, I think, a Discord as well. Are you guys already kind of building a community around the game before releasing it?
Oh yes, indeed. We are in need of the support and encouragement that we've received from our community. This was amazing. It really was the fuel we needed these 2 years to work and give it our 100%.
Hmm.
We even tried to get as involved and talkative as possible. For example, we've been hosting some community contests. We just finished one of them actually, which lets people create their own boss character in the game with their own unique story, equipment, with their name. They can choose a skill, a race. Uh, 4 people actually won this contest. We actually held two similar
Hmm.
contests with 4 winners, and we encourage people to get as creative as possible and as involved as possible in the project, because it's our first time building such a project, and we are trying to build it together with the community. So we encourage as many people to join our Discord channel if they like stuff like that, because we are still trying to build a game with the awesome community in mind. We also have different other things. For example, we will honor some of the members as non-playable characters in game with their name and facial expressions. Yeah, we're trying to get people as involved as possible in the project.
So yeah, how have you guys can kind of been finding your community? I would love to know as well. Like, have you guys been getting most of that traction through, I guess, sharing screenshots of the game, or have you guys been going to conferences? You know, what has that been like for you guys?
So far, most of the people that joined us on Discord or newsletters or stuff like that, they come either directly from the Steam page of the game
Hmm.
or from our more successful posts on Imgur that went viral, or from Reddit, from Twitter. We've had a lot of people coming from Twitter. Pretty much online people. I mean, we only visited one or two such conferences. One last one was the Digital Dragons one, hosted by Poland on Steam, and we did have some people coming through that channel.
Hmm.
But most of the people that joined us are either from Steam or Reddit or Twitter, stuff like that. We are trying to bring them in with various contests, as I said, to give them a reason to come and stay and get involved.
Yeah, that seems like a great idea as well. Yeah, to just get people to want to support you guys as well by getting putting something that they made into the game. That's
Hmm.
a great idea.
We're trying to make it fun for everybody, not just for
Yeah.
us.
Like, how did you guys learn anything about kind of creating screenshots? Have you guys noticed the trend of what things did well on, for example, Imgur or Reddit?
We've noticed that colorful stuff are impactful, that
Hmm.
they need to be dynamic, they need to be quite fast usually. So I would suggest, if I may suggest anything to other game developers, is to try to make their game as gifable as possible.
Right.
Gifable, sorry. I'm not sure if
Hmm.
it's GIF or GIF. Um,
It's a big debate.
yeah, yeah, indeed, I remember now. So
I
yeah,
won't take sides here.
yeah, but I would suggest to make the game very giftable and try to get it out there as soon as possible. For example, we've created our Steam page. I think after only 4 months of development, the game was still very bare bones.
Hmm.
But we tried to get on as fast as possible to let people know as early in the development as possible about our progress, maybe get some feedback, as well as grow the community and those wishlist numbers.
Wow, that's really early.
Yeah,
Were you guys ever concerned with kind of the game direction just changing so dramatically if you guys start showing those early pictures? Or was your strategy kind of, we want to show the pictures. If there's no real traction, we might pivot into like a different theme or art style? Or what was your kind of, was it purely just trying to grow the community as quickly as possible?
it was a combination of both, I believe.
Mhm.
We were also willing to see the reaction of people and what is their opinion, but trying to get as many members as possible, as many people to see the video as possible and the Steam
Mhm.
page. Indeed, the game has changed since then. The artistic direction, the gameplay, everything. When we look back to the old posts, we are a bit embarrassed, but that's how we started. So I think in the end, it was lucky to start posting. We were lucky to start posting so soon because the longer you wait, the more anxious you get, the less confident in the product, especially if you don't share it with the public. So I believe it would. The longer you wait, the harder it gets to start showing stuff. I believe.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Like, what kind of things did you guys change or learn after sharing those first, I guess, screenshots? Or maybe was it also gameplay that you guys shared?
Yes, we shared some. We were trying to actually share on Twitter, for example, and Instagram. We were posting every new skill that we were adding, every new item, every new small GIF, of maybe 10 or 15 seconds. We were trying a daily thing back then.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, we had to stop at some point because
Yeah, it's a lot of
planning
work.
for it, yeah, planning for it, and even recording it, it's not as easy as it sounds. A lot of reshoots and stuff like that. But the game changed a lot. We've received a lot of valuable feedback from people, like from the fact that now when you hit a character, you get a little bit of a screen shake. The hit is more satisfying when you land a hit on an enemy. People told us in the past, in the first posts, that they gave us different advices on how to do that, how to create much more engaging experience. So we were very thankful for that and very lucky to get feedback early on, because at some point you are quite biased. You can't see stuff when you're so involved in the product. You lose sight of important stuff.
I find that strategy is just so fascinating, especially I find it really smart as well because I think a lot of problems arise when you kind of wait too long. And like you said, you wait, like you build the game, the 2-year game, but no one's never seen it, and it's just completely not what people want.
Yeah, that would be hard.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Can you give us kind of like the numbers of or like the growth there, and sort of like, I guess the best metric would be like Discord users in your community. Like, how has it been growing, and what kind of, at what point are you guys right now?
It has been growing steadily. I think we've had the Discord server for a year now, if I'm not wrong.
Hmm.
Um, with each new post we've created and each contest people have joined. For example, some contests were targeted, were sending people to the Steam page. Others were sending. So we managed to get a lot of wish lists. That is our biggest number.
Yeah.
But the Discord members, they are very high quality members that we really appreciate, and we are tailoring these contests around them. We have 330 people, I believe, on Discord.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, a couple of thousands users on Twitter, followers on Twitter, about 20,000 wish lists on Steam.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
That's the big number.
Yep.
And a few hundred newsletter subscribers. So we are really happy with the numbers. I mean, we are a small team. I believe we got pretty lucky with such big numbers.
Yeah, those are decent numbers for indie studio for sure.
Hmm.
And yeah, like it seems like the contests are working. I like the idea of kind of redirecting or setting a destination, kind of like you said, for the contest, directing people to, for example, your wish lists or.
Yeah, we've been trying out experimenting stuff to see which converts better, which is easier for users to do. We are still undecisive. We need more data.
Right.
We will continue to try different contests and see what people like.
So yeah, you already like shared a lot of interesting information. I just want to like kind of ask a few questions at the end, kind of reflection questions.
Hmm.
So I guess like one of the first ones, which is a little bit random, but if you weren't working on Viking Vengeance, what game would you be working on? As a hypothetical question.
That's an interesting one because I was actually considering, since we are coming from the Warcraft 3 era, I was
Hmm.
actually considering an RTS. Um,
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, I believe there is still a good niche there. Maybe not for triple A's, but for indie, I'm sure there are still a lot of Steam users that would like to play RTSs, even in 2020.
Yeah. What does like a day in your life look like? Like,
Wow.
give us like a look at your average day. Is it possible?
Yeah, it's easy. It's repeatable. It's like 12 or 14 or 16 hours of just sitting on the sofa with the notebook on my lap and
Hmm.
coding and trying and fixing and talking to the team and talking to the Discord members. That's all I do these days. 2 years of this.
That's the grind.
Yeah, yeah.
Finally, I would love to just know like the top three lessons learned from developing Viking Vengeance so far.
Oh, don't underestimate how long different things will take you.
Hmm.
Um, as I said, try to get out there as fast as possible and with videos, and especially in Facebook, Twitter, we all know those are bring less traffic these days. So try to get on Reddit as fast as possible.
Hmm.
Try to plan your game for a variety of platforms, not just for PC. In my
Hmm.
view, it will decrease your risks. And of course, try to create a game that brings as many as. Don't try to create League of Legends. Don't try to create, I don't know, Diablo 3. Just try to know that you are an indie and your resources are limited, both in time and money. And
Hmm.
don't take something. Don't overestimate yourself like we did. Because it's hard to build something very complex. We had to, as I told you, do some stuff as well to reduce the time and the cost. So yeah, just try to be as cautious as possible.
Yeah, that's very, very solid, very good evergreen advice there. And yeah, thanks for being so honest and yeah, sharing that. So, Bogdan, finally, can you tell us like where can people find you, find out more about the game, and just share anything else that you want the audience to kind of know about?
Thank you very much for your time and for the invitation again. People could wishlist Viking Vengeance on Steam. They could join our Discord channel. They could find it easily, I believe.
Hmm.
Especially if they want to take part in our contests and get the chance to live in an RPG forever, or if they just want to hang out with the developers and many cool members that we have there.
Thanks for listening to this show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a review and subscribing on whatever platform you're listening to. For more game development content, head down to moonlightgamedevs.com. I hope you have a great week and join me for the next episode.